I'm in the car with Tolly and Felix, who I'm doing this documentary with, and we wanted to speak to you a little bit about sparks to help the other two sort of understand it maybe a little bit more before we get there.
He wanted to draw the double helix. You will all discover a great deal about DNA, which is absolutely his main thing in life. He studied Crick and Watson's impressions of it, and he came to the conclusion he believes that they have got the structure slightly wrong. Don't ask me, I have no clue. He is quite obsessive about it, because if he is correct, it would change the world, literally. And the thing is that nobody has ever proved to him why he is wrong. And I think that's the thing he finds really hard, because until somebody can say, you're wrong because of this, he cannot see how he could be wrong. And he is convinced that it is a conspiracy, because he says they can't afford to change direction. They're so convinced that the way they're doing everything is right that they cannot conceive of starting from the bottom. He's quite nervous about you coming, but then you're probably quite nervous about going there, so don't worry about it. I mean, yes, it is a pain in the arse to get to, as you're probably discovering as we speak. It's a long way, but he's very good on his own. You know, he's quite happy by himself.
When I got here, there was literally just two or three trees in the garden. That tree and that tree are about the only ones that were here, and all the other ones I've planted. A little mower, garden tools, spades. I'm building a dry stone wall, as somebody said the other day. Great height for a Barbie, and if we get the weather for it. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things I do when I'm not painting, when I'm not drawing, when I'm not building DNA models, when I'm not reading, when I'm not doing something else. In the nice weather, I'll come out and I'll get on with my wall, as it were. I've had a lot more different birds on the crop since I've been since I've opened up the old drains and planted the trees to give cover. And there's a lot of wrens that nest out here now. I have reed warblers come out. I've had goldfinch, I've had blackcap, I've had greenfinch, all sorts of birds that I've never seen up here before. And it's funny how birds, they just find, if you create the habitat, they find it somehow, and they do. They just tip up. This was the old byre, and I had to put a new roof on it, and basically refurbish it completely, a bit like I did with the house. And so, yeah, you want to come in. It also serves as a garage. Put the lights on. So yeah, this is really just a workshop. Garage come workshop. That's all a bit of a mess.
What's that on the wall?
That's a fin whale. It's huge. Well, actually, it's a baby one. It's a baby fin whale. One of the small ones, but it came ashore. It died up at Barvas, and I managed to retrieve the skull, because as a child, I always collected skulls, so I couldn't miss the opportunity of a whale skull, and also saving it from just falling to pieces on the beach. And so those are the jaw bits, which you can see, but they fit in there. Here we've got an otter skull, which I found a dead otter and buried it and waited for a year and then dug it up and bleached the bones.
Interesting.
Well, it's more life, isn't it? It's what we're made of. I've always had a fascination. I remember I used to have loads of skulls hanging from ropes in my bedroom when I was about 7 or 8. I had deer skull, I had sheep skull, rabbit skulls, you name it. And I think people did think it was a bit morbid, but they're fascinating. You know, it's what we're made of, what makes us, and DNA codes for that. You know?
Have you always been an artist?
No, I didn't start painting properly. I didn't really start painting until I went to art school, actually. I didn't know I had a talent for it.
That's lucky.
Yeah, but I also regret it, because I also regret that I didn't paint and draw as a child. But I like the accuracy, the unambiguous nature of perspective. I'd always wanted to do art, but I'd never had the confidence or the courage to do it.
Do you love your work?
I don't know. I wouldn't know how to answer that. There's a bigger purpose involved. I'm trying to illustrate my thinking, my thought. A painting communicates a lot more than words can.
Would you be happy to paint in front of people?
No.
We wouldn't be able to film you painting?
No, I don't think so. There's nothing to see, really. The process of painting is a private, sort of almost spirit. I don't know whether you call it spiritual or whatever, but it's you in your own little world. Have you ever seen a painter painting live? Other than Picasso, who did it at one point. I mean, he was a highly skilled and accomplished artist. I wouldn't say that I was.
Just recently I've become interested in fixing clocks in the last 3 or 4 years. I've started off with sort of basic, simple clocks. This is actually an old one of my grandfather's. The chime mechanism needs fixing, but because I'm rather keen on this clock, I don't want to mess it up, I don't want to break it, so I want to practice on other clocks to get to understand how they work. It's the mechanism thing, it's the mechanism. In a sense, I mean, I don't know that you could say that DNA is clockwork, but it's certainly a process that works sort of in an autonomous way, in that there's nobody governing it down at that level. But I really enjoy it. It's very relaxing and very absorbing. A bit not dissimilar in a way to drawing, in that you become engrossed in the whole process. But then there's also the sense of achievement that when you actually put it back together and you wind it up, you set the pendulum going, it works. Yeah, it's hugely satisfying. It's hugely satisfying. Some people hate the ticking. Some people will say, how do you live with the ticking and chiming and what have you? But at the moment, there's got 3 in here, and I love it. I love it. It's like company. It's almost like music in a sense.
Do you find it eerie when there's nothing? And maybe.
Oh no! I live in absolute silence up until I had the clocks, and sometimes they're not wound up. Oh, absolutely! I live in absolute silence. I live in my head really most of the time.
What is it that you're proposing?
I'm suggesting a modification to the molecular structure of DNA that was proposed by Crick and Watson in 1953. The reason I'm suggesting the modification is mainly based on geometry, because my research as an artist started basically with their scientific data, and I came across problems in their representations of the double helix. Compared to what their claims for the double helix were, there were inconsistencies in their model. In order to do these drawings, I had to basically start back afresh with the data, the X-ray diffraction data that gave us a sequence of numbers of 3.4 angstroms, 20 angstrom diameter, 10 bases within a turn, and 34 angstroms in a single turn of the helix, which basically defines a mathematical structure that's rotated on 36-degree segments. Using that premise of that data, I was able to then do a perspective drawing of the double helix using Uccello's type of mathematical perspective that was developed during the Renaissance. In the process of doing that drawing, I came across a geometrical proof based on the pentagon that actually predicts the dimensions of the structure of DNA. And that mathematical structure can then be incorporated into the molecular structure. Crick and Watson paired the bases in a particular way, the bases of adenine, cytosine, thymine and guanine, which they then stacked up into a helix. I'm suggesting that
that helix could be better resolved, better articulated, simply by realigning the base pairs to encompass the pentagonal geometry that I've come across in the process of my drawing and my paintings, to what was initially to celebrate Crick and Watson, but I've found myself in the position now that I'm actually saying I believe they've got a major flaw in the structure, and hence there's a major flaw running through science, modern science anyway at the moment.
How has this landing on your lap affected your life?
To begin with, I didn't get a good response. We don't need any of your input, thank you very much. It has been hard because I genuinely thought that they'd want to think about this. If I'd been embraced, I could have taken a different trajectory in my life. But because that didn't happen, and I felt very marginalised, and my passion is huge in this, I felt I could no longer go on existing in the treadmill, as it were. I've slightly been forced into living the solitary life, and I can't now engage in the way Crick and Watson think, or the way the scientific world thinks about this, because I've evolved, if you like, with my own understanding. And I can't just negate that. Maybe if I could see proof of Crick and Watson's structure, maybe I could go, yeah, this is all a coincidence. But until it's proven to me that it's a coincidence, no, I live in a different philosophic world, which is why I slightly remove myself. It's two sides of a coin, you know. There's a lot of great things about being up here, there's a lot of not so good things being up here. But for the moment, it works for me. I like the solitude. I'm free to think, I'm not encroached on by humanity in the way that you are in London or whatever, you know, having stuff imposed on you. I can pursue my thinking, I can pursue my drawing, I can pursue my belief, if you like. It puts everything into perspective, you know, what matters. And we're pretty small at the end of the day.
Do you think we should have an opinion on your theory?
No, I mean, you can't make a comment because you don't understand fully their way of thinking, and no one has ever investigated properly this way of thinking. So it's not possible really for anyone to necessarily come to a judgment. The thing is, I'm too close to all this stuff. I believe passionately in what I've done and what I'm saying, but I accept that other people, they could say, well, yeah, he's got an obsession and so be it, but it's got nothing to do with DNA. Now you've got to look at it and go, well, has he got a point or hasn't he got a point? Is this all just a figment of his imagination and science has got it all right and this guy's all wrong? Or do I have a case to be answered? I believe I've got a case to be answered, but I can't make people ask that. I won't give this up. There's no way I can give this up. I found it. I stand by it, and I would stand by it to the end. I will stand by it to the end.